And just noticing what's here for you right now. And this might manifest as energy in the body. So just checking in. Is there a lot of energy moving around? Is there calming energy present? Really sensing, not having it be a mental process, not having it be right or wrong. But as you arrive here, just meeting yourself exactly as you are. And as you check in with your body now, maybe just noticing if it needs to shift in any way. Is it comfortable the way it is? And now just bringing all your attention to this body breathing. Just noticing that it is breathing. See if you can follow the breath, becoming fully aware of the inhale, the exhale. If you notice a lot of mental chatter, the mind just telling stories, the mind rehearsing, the mind planning, perhaps you can just notice that with kindness. And then just intentionally bringing your attention to this body breathing without any judgment for what's happening right now. Your experience is your experience and is absolutely perfect for this moment. There's no need to modify the breath. There's no need to change it. However, your breathing is perfect. Let's see if I can invite you to turn towards your experience as a kind listener. And that's our theme for today. To just listen to your experience, listening to the breath. And by listening, I mean to being present with it. Not so much what you're hearing, but to be one with this experience. If you're noticing any stories about the breath, by the way you're breathing, seeing if you can just allow the stories to go into the background. And seeing if you can really embody this breath. And just noticing how listening can be an entire experience. It could be how the breath is moving. It could be the length of the breath. Is it long? Is it short? It could be the pace of the breath. Is it fast or slow? And the only way to really listen is to experience it. This is not a cognitive process, but a togetherness, moving with the breath, flowing with it. This is active listening. We're tuning in to what we're observing, tuning into this breath. Maybe you're noticing a lot of noise around it, a lot of thoughts and other things coming in. So, seeing if we can get past the noise to just this breath. And now just seeing if you can expand this attention to the belly area, the abdomen, sensing the breath here. Again, tuning in to this rising on the in breath and falling on the out breath. Getting past all the noise, the thoughts, the environment, sensations that might be calling your attention. These words, and just fully arriving right here at the breath in this area, the abdomen. Without any judgment, with an attitude of newness, openness. And now gently on the next out breath, shifting your attention to this body, expanding from this belly, abdomen area to the rest of the body. and just allowing it. Sensing through the areas of contact of the body with the surface holding you. And seeing if you can just let the pull of gravity keep you here without any resistance. And this might show up as tension, tightness. So there's always an invitation to soften. But if you encounter a tension, a tightness that just wants to be here, just okay, allowing it to be here without any judgment. It is what it is in this moment, and it's all welcome. Creating space. And just allowing the body to feel heavy as it safely sinks into the surface holding you. Fully supported. And then just listen. The body communicates through sensation. So deeply listening without any judgment. And if you encounter a difficult sensation at any time, perhaps shifting your pose or coming back to the breath, but letting it know that you're listening, but not reacting to it, giving it some space to be noticed. So, noticing what it's like to listen in this way, letting this experience unfold without having it to be any different than what it is, without having to change it. There's absolutely nothing that needs to happen right now. Whatever is here is perfect. Now turning towards listening to the thought process without any judgment, but instead bringing kind curiosity. What is this experience like for you? Noticing if thoughts come in as images. Maybe for you, they're words, sentences. And without getting carried away by any of the stories, just noticing how long does each image or word last before the next one. Deeply listening to this process, not the content. And whenever you notice that you've been carried away by a story, just coming back to deeply listening to this process, settling all your attention in how the thoughts come and go. How long do they last? What do they look like? Kind curiosity, the key to deep listening. Now shifting and turning towards the emotional process, noticing any emotion that might be here right now. And again, listening with deep curiosity. There might be a place in the body where you feel this emotion. You might come with a thought, a deep awareness. Whenever you're ready, I invite you to take a deeper than normal breath, really sensing the breath in the body, allowing the belly to fill up, then allowing all the breath to come out, go out into the world on a long, long exhale. Let's do it one more time. Deep inhale. And a long, long exhale. So Leo Buscaglia, in a poem called Please Listening, says, when I ask you to listen to me and you start giving me advice, you have not done what I asked. When I ask you to listen to me and you begin to tell me why I shouldn't feel that way, You're trampling on my feelings. When I ask you to listen to me and you feel you have to do something to solve my problem, you have failed me. As strange as that may seem, listen. All I ask is that you listen. Don't talk, don't do, just hear me. I am not helpless, maybe discouraged and faltering at times, but I am not helpless. When you do something for me that I can't do for myself, you contribute to my fear and inadequacy. But when you accept as a simple fact that I feel what I feel, no matter how irrational, then I can stop trying to convince you and get about this business of understanding what's behind this irrational feeling. And when that's clear, the answers are obvious and I don't need advice. Irrational feelings make sense when we understand what's behind them. So please listen and just hear me. And if you want to talk, wait a minute for your turn, and I will listen to you. So maybe just taking a deeper than normal breath and just allowing those words to settle. Listening to this body, listening to your experience as they come to your awareness. And whenever you're ready, just allowing this body to get what it needs right now. It doesn't need to move a little. And making these movements a very informed experience. Whenever you're ready at your own pace, if your eyes are closed, you can open your eyes. You can join here. Just looking around if you're back in the screen, noticing who's here with us. So this act of listening, it's very powerful, isn't it? I was reading this, what inspired this talk was I was reading an article by the University of Massachusetts, I believe, and it was talking about why is it so difficult to listen sometimes. And he names some things that might get on the way. So he names noise, for instance, and how it can affect the listener's ability to attend. And how noise is not just what we hear out there, but how noise is actually can come from different places. For instance, there is a noise of the background, the surroundings, dogs barking, traffic, people talking, whatever it might be, that becomes the external noise when we're trying to listen. Right? And this could even be called a physical noise in some sense. It's physical, it's out there, it's perceived, right? It could be an airplane flying. But there's also a psychological noise, right? For instance, we might be listening, but we might be thinking about other things, what we have to do, the agenda, the plans that we have, right? Or it could be our own perception of what is being shared, maybe we're listening and we're thinking about what is going on. We're caught up in our own perceptions. Another one could be a semantic noise. We're caught up in the words and what they mean and why the person is using them, or why these words are even there, right? And so all these things come into play when we're listening. And it could be helpful to just identify them, to just know that there is more factors to listening, to be aware, right? So there's many things. There's our own biases about what we're hearing, right? Even as I'm talking right here, there could be many thoughts going through your mind about this, right? And so our practice, really, our mindfulness practice has these attitudinal foundations that carry us over. And so a way to really be present is to be open, right? Can we just come in open to what is presented? That's beginner's mind, right? Our perceptions, our biases. We can all just check out for just a moment and we can just listen, right? So that's an invitation that I had for myself this week. I had to have a conversation which could be considered difficult. At least to me, my perception was that I had difficult conversations like this with this person, and I was trying to find a way to be open and to really hold the person's experience as much as mine in the process. And I got to this understanding with our practice. I thought, like, what are some things that can come to my awareness during this conversation that will be helpful, that will be kind, right? And what really came in was practicing beginner's mind. How my perception of previous conversation, it was already giving me a bias of how the conversation was going to go and how this person behaves. And what I might expect. And so when I came in with this attitude of beginner's mind, non-judgmental, I was able to really listen to what was happening. And so here it is that what we're listening, there's a lot going on for us as well. But if we bring curiosity to the experience, and I think that's what I learned, and I wanted to share with you, that I was able to bring kind curiosity to the person's experience, but also tracking mine, noticing where, certain words again were used and how could be caught up on the semantics of the word or what they were trying to say. So I had to come back to just really being present with myself so I could be present for this person. And there was a sense of ease with that, of just having a conversation that I wouldn't have had any other way. And I don't know about you, but in conversation, it's not easy sometimes for me to remember. This attitudinal foundations or practice is kind of like if I'm not consciously right in the moment, and that's when mindfulness takes intention. We have to have the intention to pay attention without judgment. It's intentional. It's an intentional practice. It just doesn't happen. And so to really be centered in that way, to really be with clear attunement of what's happening, takes practice and takes intention. But the more we do it, the more we are practicing, right? And again, there's concepts, there's a cognitive process to all of this, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about true experience. Being in the moment, being present with our experience as well as the other so we can receive. And so I learned a lot from this experience, and I learned a lot from having to have this difficult talk. And these are the things that sometimes can bring much anxiety and much nervousness. And so, even that we can pay attention to. What is that? How does that feel in my body as I go into this talk? How am I presenting myself? How am I giving myself space to what I'm feeling, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I would just invite you to just give that a try. And you can start with the easy conversations. This doesn't mean that you have to go and call the most difficult, um, you know, it calls for a most difficult conversation, but maybe to just kind of invite this practice into something that is easy, something that is just flowing and really tuning into how things land for you. Is there tension when I hear this? Is my mind going in a story as I hear this? Am I questioning what I'm hearing? Do I have to explain what I'm hearing? Right? Do I have to show that maybe I know? Where's all that coming from? And so, can we just be with our experience and kind of pause for a moment, just like the poem says? Just listen to our experience, just like we did in this practice, in this meditation, and to what we're hearing. And this is a constant dynamic, kind of like a dance, right? So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say for now. And yeah, I thank you so much for your kind attention, for being here, for practicing with me every Friday. It really, it's kind of like the highlight of my day in between meetings to just come in here and see you all. So, thank you so much for joining.